This is Aramco, the world's largest oil producer, with over 155 billion barrels of oil reserves and annual revenues exceeding $100 billion. But how did it all begin? Let's dive into Aramco's history and discover how it helped transform Saudi Arabia from a desert nation into a global economic powerhouse. History of Saudi Aramco. Saudi Aramco was established following a concession agreement between the Saudi Arabian government and the Standard Oil Company of California in 1933. The company began primary drilling operations shortly after. Commencing its first commercial oil production in 1938, Saudi Aramco expanded rapidly across Saudi Arabia over the next decade, reaching crude oil production of 5 lakh barrels per day in 1949. To keep up with production, the firm built out its distribution pipeline and built the Trans-Arabian Pipeline, the longest in the world. In 1973, the Saudi Arabian government purchased a 25% interest in the company and gradually increased its stake during the decade. By 1980, the government owned 100% of the company. Saudi Aramco, oil company founded by the Standard Oil Co. of California in 1933, when the government of Saudi Arabia granted it a concession. Other U.S. companies joined after oil was found near Dhahran in 1938. In 1950, Aramco opened a pipeline from Saudi Arabia to the Mediterranean seaport of Sidon, Lebanon. It was closed in 1983 except to supply a refinery in Jordan. A more successful pipeline, with a destination on the Persian Gulf, was finished in 1981. In 1951, Aramco found the first offshore oil field in the Middle East. In the 1970s and 80s, control gradually passed to the Saudi Arabian government, which eventually took over Aramco and renamed it Saudi Aramco in 1988. Saudi Aramco Overview. Aramco, a state-owned giant, pumps out nearly 10% of the world's oil supply. That's a surprising amount, enough to make it one of the top exporters globally. In the first quarter of this year, Aramco posted a huge net profit of $27.3 billion. To put that into perspective, that's more than ExxonMobil, Shell, Chevron, and Total Energy's combined revenue in the same period. Last year, Aramco's annual net profit hit $121 billion, marking its second highest year on record. And in 2022, they crushed with $161 billion in profits. This isn't just a success story, this is a company that's powering economies worldwide. With more than 73,000 employees across the globe, Aramco's influence stretches far beyond Saudi borders, with operations in Asia, Europe, and the Americas. As of the end of 2020, Aramco's oil reserves stood at 255 billion barrels. That's 198 billion barrels of crude oil, alongside vast reserves of natural gas and natural gas liquids. Let's discuss Aramco's IPO. In 2019, Aramco made headlines once again, with its historic IPO raising a record-breaking $25.6 billion. It was the largest IPO in history, but it didn't come without controversy. Aramco, valued at over $1 trillion, Aramco's public debut wasn't just about raising capital. It was a strategic move by Saudi Arabia to secure funds for diversifying its economy away from oil. Despite various hurdles, including skepticism over the company's valuation and the political climate following the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, the IPO went ahead. What's interesting here is that the IPO only represented 1.5% of the company's total value. By limiting the number of shares available to the public, Saudi Arabia ensured they retained tight control over Aramco. It's a classic example of strategic ownership to maintain influence. Now talk about Aramco and the Saudi economy. Aramco isn't just a business, it's the backbone of Saudi Arabia's economy. The kingdom boasts the second largest proven petroleum reserves in the world and is the largest oil exporter. Oil is critical to Saudi Arabia's financial health, contributing 87% of the national budget, 90% of export earnings, at 42% of GDP. That's why Aramco's production and management are tightly integrated with the government's long-term economic plans. But it's not just about oil production. Aramco has expanded into refining and chemical manufacturing, playing a major role in diversifying the kingdom's economy. And this all ties into Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, a blueprint to reduce the kingdom's reliance on oil and create a more sustainable future. Now jump to next point, Aramco's role in OPEC. And then there's Aramco's role in OPEC, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. As a founding member, Saudi Arabia and Aramco play a central role in OPEC strategy. OPEC controls around 40% of the world's oil supply and more than 80% of proven oil reserves. OPEC functions as a cartel, coordinating oil production to manage global prices. When OPEC Plus countries want higher oil prices, they often agree to cut supply, which in turn pushes prices up. However, every country wants to maximize its own revenue, making this balance a delicate one. As a leading oil producer, Aramco and Saudi Arabia hold significant sway within OPEC, influencing decisions that affect global energy markets. If you found this video informative, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more economic insights, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.